Hi everyone, my name is Sumit Agrawal. I'm a Director of Product Management here at Informatica. As more of our customers are taking this journey to cloud, they're trying to move some of their on-prem data and processing from on-premise to Azure. In this video, we will see how Informatica Big Data Management can help our customer in this journey to cloud. We'll talk about three things: different features and functionality we have on Azure ecosystem. We'll talk about a use case followed by a demo. Let's first talk about the features and functionality we have with Big Data Management running on Azure. So when it comes to deployment, there are two ways of deploying Big Data Management on Azure. One is using our single-click marketplace option, and the second one is using a standard method. So when I say single-click marketplace, it's we have Big Data Management hosted on Azure Marketplace. So any customers can take that marketplace image. It's a BYOL license, and you can deploy Big Data Management on Azure, and it can run with an hdinsight cluster. We also have another method called a standard method, where you can spin up a Azure VM, you can have our server installed there, and it can run on any kind of Hadoop cluster which is running on Azure. Now let's talk about connectivity. So when it comes to connectivity, Big Data Management can connect to various part of various Azure services and storage systems. So we can connect to Azure Blob. We can also connect to Azure ADLS. We have connectivity to SQL DB, which is nothing but the SQL Server running on Azure. We can also connect to SQL Data Warehouse and also SQL Server. When it comes to Hadoop processing, Informatica Big Data Management fully support all the Hadoop cluster which runs on Azure ecosystem. For example, we can push down our job to hdinsight cluster. We can also push down to Cloudera or Hortonworks running on Azure. Now let's see how we can use all these features and functionality to solve a customer use case. So let's take an example of a data lake use case. So as you see in this diagram, there are multiple sources like flat file, databases, and some cloud apps. So first thing a customer do is to ingest these sources into a blob store or a ADLS store. And once the data is on store, then they use any compute cluster, whether it's hdinsight cluster or Cloudera or Hortonworks running on Azure ecosystem to do the processing. So Informatica Big Data Management can help in ingestion. It can also help customers to do processing within the hdinsight cluster. And once the processing is done, we can move the processed data back to blob storage, and from there the data can go to Azure DW for analytics. And you can use any favorite tools, whether it's Tableau or a MicroStrategy, for your analytics. All right, in this demo here, we are showing you how you can use Informatica single-click option on Azure Marketplace to deploy Big Data Management. So Informatica Big Data Management is available on Azure Marketplace. So once you click on this option, it brings you to this different steps which you need to provide. The first step is just telling us which location you want to use. And then in the second step, you have to give us the domain information, you have to give us a username and password, and also the license key. The node setting is nothing but it tells you the number of nodes you need on the Informatica side. So you have to give us a number of nodes, you have to give us a different username and password, and also what kind of machine size you need. Big Data Management also require a repository. For this, we also need a database. So in this setting here, you have to give us what kind of database you are using, what is your username and password, and again, what is the machine size you would like to have. The step 5 is more about Hadoop. So here you have to give us the hdinsight cluster host name, which is nothing but the cluster information which you are using on Hadoop cluster side. In step 6, we have to give details about the infrastructure services for Big Data Management, like the model repository service name, the data integration service name, and the database which you want to use for this. In step 7, we are checking the information on the Hadoop and the hbase connectivity. So there are some good defaults. You can use the defaults, or you can also have an ability to change these defaults. And finally, this is the last step where you have to give us the infrastructure setting, like what is the virtual network and what's the storage account you like to use. Once you have all this setting, this is now ready to be deployed on Azure ecosystem. Once everything is deployed, you will see Informatica Big Data Management now running on Azure ecosystem. So our admin console is now deployed on Azure, and all our services, whether it's model repository service or DIS, is automatically created, and all of them is running on Azure. Now let's go and see the Informatica developer tool. So in this use case, what I'm doing is I'm reading from a flat file, and I'm also writing that data back to our blob storage. Now let's see the connectivity of our blob storage. So if I go to our connection, so as you see here, we are connecting to a WASP URI and providing all the information which you need to connect to a blob storage. So in this first mapping, we are reading from a flat file, doing transformation, and writing to a blob storage. Now in my second mapping, I'm also showing you another functionality of big data management, which actually can help you to write data to Azure Data Analytics Store. So in this mapping, we are reading from a flat file and writing the data to ADLS, and let's see the connectivity to ADLS. So just like blob storage, we can also connect to ADLS, and ADLS is what is used for the name node URI. So now once my data is on ADLS or blob, the next thing a customer would like to do is to move the data back to SQLDB. So in this mapping, I'm reading from a WASB or a blob storage and writing the data back to SQLDB. To run this mapping, I have to right click and say run the mapping. And as you see in this mapping property, I'm running this mapping on a Hadoop environment with this hdinsight cluster. Now let's go to the first mapping and also run this mapping. And now this mapping is also running on a Hadoop cluster. As I show you in the runtime, this mapping is running on a Blaze engine on hdinsight cluster. Now let's go and see the Informatica monitoring console. You see that both of our mapping are in progress. And you can see the Blaze execution plan also at this level here. Now let's see the output, what this mapping produces. So if I go to the Azure portal, and if I show you the blob storage, so this is the blob storage which we have used to write our data. So as you see here, the orders file has already been written in this blob store. Now let's go and see whether the data is already written on a SQL DB. If I do a select star, the data is already written here. Informatica Big Data Management and Azure helps to simplify this journey to cloud. For any more questions and comments, please reach out to Informatica support.